podcast, we gon' talk about it, yeah, we get it poppin'. Every Wednesday it be essential, we are the only options. Who they trust with their topics, even if it is toxic. Life and podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it. We gon' talk about it. We gon' talk about it. Life and podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it.
Hey, yo, welcome back to another edition of the Life Be Life and podcast. Back up on the scene, I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J, still in the building like I ain't never left, and it's still a G thing. Shout out to heaven. What it do? Man, it's another Won't He Do It Wednesday. Bro, what's popping, man? How you
Yes,
feel?
sir. Hey, you already know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
All right, got to Friday. Y'all gonna keep hearing my mouth, seeing my Facebook, because I'm gonna keep yiping. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep wearing my polos to work because you know what I'm saying. I've heard enough all season. And in a nutshell, this young man who they said couldn't be a quarterback, that he couldn't do it, he couldn't throw, and they put him in a position to prove them wrong, and I'll be doggone. Hey, forget what you heard. It'll still go birds. What about you, bro? What you got cracking?
Hey, on the real, I'm smiling big as that one thing, man, but I'm ready to let them things loose. Man, when I tell you that for about the past, week and a half, maybe, I just been feeling the way about stuff, man. I've been seeing so much stuff. And it's gotten to the point to where it's like, all right, I've kind of taken care of what I feel like are some other things that have been consuming my time and my mental space. And tonight's the night. Like, I'm ready to jump into something, and I ain't gonna lie, bro. It might hurt people's feelings what we gonna talk about tonight. It's already a topic that tries to get dismissed. It's trying to be erased from a historical standpoint, as if it never happened. The value that's placed on it is always being diminished in comparison to like or similar events in history, i.e. things like the Holocaust, you know what I'm saying, where they've already got reparations and stuff been paid out, but we still waiting on the 40 acres and the mule, neither here nor there. But you know what, bro? See, you tried this. I know what you did. I know what you did. Hey, listen. Before I keep popping this off, man, you know what to do. I think it's time.
Let's get it.
The views and opinions expressed on the Life Be Life and podcast are solely those of the artists, producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself.
Yo, this is Ryan the Gamer, owner of them Snap Boys. You are now tapped into the Life Be Life and podcast.
Take care about Team Soup. Life be life. No fail.
Hey yo, life be lifing, so let's talk about it. Tune in now.
Man, if y'all haven't been tuned in to the Life Be Lifing podcast, y'all sleeping.
Back up on the scene,
Make sure y'all tap in on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, champions in Christ, let's go. Gang walk up on the block with a bag full of Bibles they like. And when they see the light in me, knowing God gave me plenty daylight. I wake up every single day like I can't live no other way. I be like, I tell them all God good, walking all y'all hoods, they like. Bible gang, yeah, I walk with God. He got the wheel, let me open the garage. I
rise. Rose on the third, all the victory is ours. Evade the devil, all he want is my demise. He come around, turn him down, no surprise. Adjust my crown like I need a bigger size. My salvation came from Jesus, Satan under my Adidas, make him freeze up. I'm on Cora telling people how good God is. They confessing with their hearts and out their mouths. Jesus died for all my sins, but in 3 days the tomb was open. That's where I put my hope in. Gang walk up on the block with a bag full of Bibles they like. And when they see the light in me, knowing God gave me plenty daylight. I wake up every single day like I can't live no other way. I be like, I tell them all God good, walking all y'all hoods they like. Y'all know how I go when I get them beats. Stomp on Satan, brand new Jordans feel like cleats. Bible gang, I yell, I promise you know it's me. Me and about 17 others, giving out Bibles. We didn't even bring no blankets, God gotta keep us covered. Walking in love and always smiling, who his new young brother? Bro pointed the gun, I jumped in front. One finna lose my brother, heart of a lion. Y'all don't know how hard I be trying. When I was younger, I wanted approval. Now I be carrying Satan removal. I thought I was losing my noodle. Get my life up to God, now I'm golden. Don't be mad at me, he the one wrote it. Build a better with Bibles, we loaded. You want one, you need it, don't read it. Just show the devil he defeated. God clean me, cause I need it. Wash, rinse, and repeat it. Gang walk up on the block with a bag full of Bibles they like. And when they see the light in me, knowing God gave me plenty daylight. I wake up every single day like I can't live no other way. I be like, I tell them all God good, walking all y'all hoods they like. Hey, hey.
And we're back. Whew. We ready? We go start this off right. Let's go.
So boom. Modern day slavery is tonight's topic. I know when you hear that, you thinking of one direction, the next direction, but the bottom line is this, man, like, so, okay, let me back before I even get started. The modern day slavery. The crazy part is, man, January 31st, 1865, this is when Congress actually passed everything that was supposed to say slavery has ended. Crazy thing is, we know everybody then didn't get the message, and apparently it's a whole lot of folks that still haven't gotten it to this day. So, what's the definition of modern day slavery? Right? Modern day slavery, man, it's a group of people that are made to work for little or no pay. They're forced to engage in sexual work, things that are of that sexual exploitated world. They're sometimes made to marry against their will. Ideally, human trafficking, right? This is legit. This is things that you can actually look up. These are facts.
Right.
So for anybody before we, and that's why I wanted to start there, because I know it's a lot of people that say, slavery is that but the dictionary, but it's popping. So modern day slavery still exists, and if for nothing else, for these facts, which is a $236 billion a year business. So why is this important, bro? Because tonight, my boy, yeah, we gonna be back to back like Kiss and Styles P. And you gonna have your points, and I'm gonna be on the opposite side giving buckets too. Some of the things I want to prove tonight, bro, is, I guess you can kind of summarize it by saying, like, the bait, the setup and the lie, and the us versus us. So the bait, again, this is a $236 billion a year industry off of that tip alone. It is being furthered by people all across this world. Why would somebody want to eliminate that? You telling me nobody would have the means to go about eliminating that? The crazy thing is, bro, and this is a report Again, that 236 billion, that's reported from Seattle Times. But the heavy modern day slavery puts such a huge focus, specifically around a part of the Tariff Act. Believe it was section like 370, but it was the Tariff Act of 1930. And this specific section, bro, this country was so concerned with the abuse of children that this focused around child labor, specifically that we would not pursue imports from anywhere else if they participated in what we deemed to be, like I said, anything that was of that magnitude. You got some sweatshops, you know, the old school sweatshops. So forced labor or indentured child labor, right? And it's like, man, that sounds great. Again, that was the Tariff Act of 1930. The crazy part about that is, if we're talking about 1930, it's 11 years later, and we all know what happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till is birthed into this world. So apparently Emmett didn't get that memo. Ironically enough, before 1930, when the Tariff Act was formed, little bitty George Stinney, the youngest child to ever be executed, to the point that they had to hoist him up with phone books and things of that nature, just so the head harness can hit him, and hit him with over 5,000 volts, to where when it was all said and done, they have now removed that off of his forever record. And it was 70 some years after they had ideally executed him falsely. And we can go on and on and on. So again, I said that to say that anytime you have money involved, and we know that the root of, so we understand what people will do for money. We understand the foundation and the form. We got all of that. The ties between the government and this slavery. So again, we talking about things was abolished, bro, but how does it translate into this modern day time? When we look at where the state of condition is right now for our community, for a younger generation, you would say that they're lost, right? They need guidance, they need direction. But we've had guidance and direction. We've had these leaders. They have been amongst us for 60, 70 years, but every single one of them have been executed. And behind every one of their executions or murders, there is a story that just doesn't seem to line up. Ironically enough, a person that seems to be sitting behind all of them was Mr. Edgar J. Hoover. And when I say sitting behind all of them, I mean, okay, let's talk about some leaders. So we can say the Black Panthers. And although the lie has been told that the Black Panthers were something that was stemmed from a violent standpoint, in actuality, was the complete opposite, bro. You talking about some young brothers, 21 years old, 22 years old, that are the founding members of Black Panthers and have created things like breakfast programs, making sure that everybody is eating before they go to school, right? Initially, the Black Panthers name is not Black Panthers, it's Black Panthers for Self-Defense. So this is what was in response to the lack of support from police enforcement, and also, more importantly, in retaliation to the brutality that we're experiencing openly with everything. But it was political. So you're talking about people that had studied laws, right? They knew the open carry gun laws front and back. They're actually on college campus selling books and conducting business in the right way on the campuses of Berkeley, right? But Edgar Hoover says, in quote, that he is the greatest threat to the internal workings of this country. Why?
Man, so it's hard, you know what I'm saying, to pinpoint a time. Just for the simple fact that it just seems like that every time that, and y'all, let me say this before I begin rather. As we present, you know what I'm saying, what we're about to present tonight, understand that, you know, we have friends, family, co-workers, people that we're fond of from different walks of life, from different, races, from different, parts of society. So as we're speaking from this, we're speaking from experience. We're speaking from what we've seen, what we've had to witness. So to really pinpoint it, it just feels like that every time that a culture, meaning our culture, would try to congregate, come together, move forward for a common cause, i.e., Black Wall Street. Okay, it just really felt like that there was a force that continued to oppress us. Let's call it what it is, oppression. But the thing is that the more that this culture has been oppressed, the more that try to rise. We have unfortunate situations, George Floyd, and the various people. My thing is that as being a young Black man in America that is trying to raise a family, that's trying to stay out the way, try to keep your mind on focus, try to continue to do good, try to be upright, upstanding citizen, try to have faith in the system, because I feel like that I'm living in the system, but somehow, some way, the same system that I had faith in, that I put my taxes in, that I put my votes in, does not work for me at times.
Absolutely. It's
So I
it's
feel
been that way. Yep.
so you start to feel like that things were conditioned. But hold on. We get to a certain point that we all have choices. And these people that we spoke about previously, they are the ones that pave that way for our choices. Once we begin to realize that our choices have consequences, either we choose to move forward with that or change course. Many times, history has tried to change course. And it feels like the more that we try to come together, the more that gets watered down and shut out. We thought the American dream was the American dream for all. But unfortunately, you soon realize that it's not. The thing that kind of really boils my blood is that in many cases, many situations, we have to work 3 times as hard to even be considered equal.
Correct.
In certain situations. I'm not saying it's all the time.
Correct. Yeah.
So when I go back to them days that we've read about during Black History Month, that we've watched movies about, that we've watched, biographies about, it was kind of like that. Even though that slavery had been abolished, it's like we had never belonged in the first place. So I look at that like that sometimes, and you try not to be the example. You know what I'm saying? You try to stay out the way, keep your insurance, keep your license up to par. You know what I'm saying? Keep your tags up to par. But life be life. It was a point in time in life where if you put on a suit and tie or shirt and tie to go to work, that you were living good. Bankers hours, 9 to 5s. Nowadays, it feels like that you're working not to progress, but work to keep what you have.
Yeah.
So again, I can only imagine, because opportunities back then were a lot less fruititious. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get offered that. So when we tried to make our own way, then it became a problem. So
yeah, and
yeah.
And so even, you know, the put my 2 cents on it, man, when we talking about why it's a situation, why nothing can be done to intervene, why can't certain systems be shut down? Because it's for a reason. Um, and so fast forward into 2025, when we're talking about, you know, our younger crowd, and every single day somebody is losing their life. There's some type of violence or some type of extreme measure that was just senseless. Um, and we have the mindset that reflection that is almost like ours is the problem, that my brother is my enemy versus me in turn being their keeper. And the reason why I wanted to start the way that I did, bro, is because I'll just say it like this. Let's say Jim Crow 2.0. And so the way that it was going to be most efficient to not only control a population by the way that they reproduce, by the level of intellect, the desire to accomplish things, the family structure, everything that you could imagine, is if I can change the mindset that they have to where they don't even feel certain things are able to be accomplished. The whole concept of buck breaking, if we go back to true indeed slavery days, and they would take the strength in life is what I'm saying. They look, we're not gonna get into a back and forth. I'm not even at the point right now where I'm saying ethnicities. I'm saying they just from the standpoint of the oppressor, because even again, as we talk of 2025, just because somebody is not in the same skin does not mean that they're not on the team, and vice versa. There's people that are wearing the skin and they are wolf in sheep's clothing. So when I'm saying they, I'm not, don't get that thing twisted. But from the slavery days, the oppressor would rate the biggest, the strongest in front of everybody as a manner to show if this is what we do to your, this is your man, this is your king, this is your dude, what you think we finna do with you? So you bow down, you don't even want to flex because you just seen what happened, right? Yeah. Okay. So why did I say what I said about things like the leaders, like the Black Panthers, things like that? Because these were people that were in the community, bro, that were doing the right thing. They were speaking on our behalf. They knew the laws. They were reading. They were teaching. They were educating. They were in the school system. They were concerned about stuff, right?
Right.
In the middle of the night while they sleep, over 14 police officers did an illegal raid on a Chicago apartment, and they massacred with over 90 shots Fred Hampton and Mark, the other co-founder, 21 and 22 years old. Bro, if you ever take the time, and lifers, y'all can do the same. You can do your own research. Reading is definitely fundamental, and we encourage it. When you do your research, they justified this execution by saying that the reason why this raid took place was because he had opened fire previously on a police officer. Bro, when you look up this man's record, the only conviction that he ever had, and he served time, was for a fight with the ice cream truck man, and he stole $70 worth of ice cream. Again, we in the hood. Mm-hmm. You died at 21. If you had spent this time being an activist, and this is as a Black Panther, right. We're going to talk about even the fact he didn't start there, NAACP, right? Was murdered. How? Inside job. But Edgar Hoover, FBI, same way that MLK wasn't the first, it was an inside job. So when I say us versus us, I'm not talking about the famous shooting in Memphis at the hotel. I'm talking about the 29-year-old Black woman who stabbed Dr. Martin Luther King in his chest and the famous speech where he said, if I had a sneeze, I wouldn't be here today. If I had a sneezed, I wouldn't have seen 1961. If I had a sneeze, yeah, we talking about that. Because something was infiltrated in our camp. But it was always a lie to manipulate the minds to therefore control people to do what I want you to do. So I ain't got to worry about putting any of my precious family members in a position to lose their life. I'm going to speak to you, trick you, and I'm going to get you to do it. So then the narrative, when it gets spun that it is light skin murdering light skin, now we have a problem. But the crazy part, bro, and I'm gonna kick this thing to you because I want to get your thoughts. When I say the Jim Crow and how it appeals to this and modern day slavery, but people will say that it's no more and slavery has been gone. So Jim Crow had Jim Crow laws, and then there was black laws that went along with it. But ideally, Jim Crow dealt with around segregation, specifically in public facilities such as schools, restrooms. Excuse me. It dealt around voting laws. These particular voting laws at this point in time included literacy tests, right, on the voting dock. But peep me out. How can you fully contribute if there's a literacy test? But at one point, it was illegal for us to know how to read. Anyway, then you had the things to where if you had any type of legal issues, that killed it off. And so then when you started thinking about it, it sounds really similar. People were segregated in times with the Jim Crow laws based on economic and social status, financial status, aka the projects, as we began to later have them. So all of these things, the reform, the jails, the voting laws, where if you're convicted, you can't vote, but you can run for president. Again, I don't know how that works. Neither here nor there. Some of the black laws, bro, because I don't want people to confuse the segregation laws to black laws. Black laws, they ran to the point. I ain't talking about in Ohio in 1804, when we didn't even have the particular rights, or even in Illinois back in 1853, when it was illegal for black people to even move there, right? So these are around the same times. But again, it's real crazy that we were so concerned with children from everywhere else that we formed the act that consisted of particular sections within the Tariff Act of 1930 that protects the labor in all of those kids. Meanwhile, there's kids here in the ghetto that was eating dog food, cornstarch. You know what I'm saying? So thoughts as far as how does the mindset, bro, from the true where we know in chains, in shackles, slavery days, into the we have leaders in position, but like breaking the buck, when they get murdered, nobody will want to rise up and speak again. To the now mindset that nobody can tell anybody's kid anything. Or again, tension will rise up. What's your thoughts, bro, on that whole connection process? Or is it me? Am I just bugging and my brain is just being off again?
Well, I look at it like this. We got to a point, okay? And I want y'all to hear my words very clearly. Yes, your surroundings can make you a product of that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So once the Black Panthers were dismantled, seems like that we had, a scoop of the pie, because not a piece. You know what I'm saying? We got a scoop of it, meaning that, we can now start voting. We can start working at certain places. Still, a lot of red neighborhoods were red line that we couldn't move into. There were still schools that we couldn't go to, but things are starting to progress a little bit. You know what I'm saying? People started waking up and understanding that, hey, color your skin does not, equate less than a person. However, during that times when I would say 80s, 90s. There were a lot of choices made. There were a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Their lineage, father, grandfather was strung out on dope.
Mm-hmm.
So it made their environment really unstable. And not trying to make an excuse. I'm simply saying
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah, it is what it is. True.
So sometimes a person doesn't want to get out of their comfort zone. So if you come to a point, a fork in the road to where it's like, okay, I have to choose left or I have to choose right at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Look, some people chose right. Hey, I know where I am. I'm going to stay where I am and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But understand this, we have to understand that depending on choices that you are going to veer to, it changes environment, it changes information.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really thought about that. You know what I'm saying? And it changes projection.
Very much
All right,
so.
well, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
See, there we have living proof of famous black people, white people, other people that came from the slums. They had a hard choice to make. They could have decided to stay where they were, but they
Mm-hmm.
decided to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Being famous doesn't necessarily equate that you're doing better because you still have choices to make. And we see examples of that in our world now. But the thing is that when you don't want to hear anything because you've already decided that this is where I'm going to stay and your information is limited, it then changes your thought process. So now your thought process is limited because the information that you're receiving is limited because you've been at the same juncture since you were 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because your thinking is limited, your ideas are limited. Your enthusiasm, your yearn for growth becomes limited,
Mm-hmm.
and you start making limited decisions. Y'all, I perfectly understand. You know what I'm saying, that racism, and as we've seen over the last 8 years or so, racism is alive and well,
Yep.
whether we want to believe it or not. Now, you have to choose. If it's your thing to be a hardcore, you know what I'm saying, buck the government, you know what I'm saying, type of person, and that's your mission, that's your mission. And nobody should be able to knock you for that. But also understand that the people who have chosen to find their peace and attempt to move forward and navigate because they have more than themselves to think about. You
Mm-hmm.
can't look down on them and consider them to be less than, oh, you're not for the revolution. No, I have evolved and understood. But these people who feel like that they got the house, the car, the family, we can't afford to look down to the people who are in the jail cells and out on the streets.
Yeah.
So when we start talking about modern day slavery, what is your master?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. See, sometimes we get to a standstill in our life and we just repeat. It's like Groundhog Day for some of us. We repeat the day
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over, which normally, let's keep it a buck. Those of us black men who are in corporate America, or you got a great job with benefits, got life insurance, health insurance, teeth insurance, eye insurance, foot insurance, you got everything that you need. You have found your spot. You know what I'm saying? So you can make it in this thing called life. So, bro, I just really feel like that people have to also put their emotions aside during certain times and understand that the choices you make decide where you're going to be. They're gonna decide where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Coupled with all the things that we've talked about, you know what I'm saying, that are against us on a daily basis. So it's like this point in time, slavery is starting to hit us all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's
Everything's going up.
yeah. And that's the thing.
Without
And I
rent.
don't want us to get rocked into that same mindset from over 400 years ago. And so
Yeah.
the transition from the setup and the lie into the us versus us. So you hit the nail right on the head, bro. And you said, you know, ideally you want more. You're not okay with the spot you in, and you want to evolve. Well, see, this is the problem if we don't get this us versus us mindset together. If you don't learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, always.
So one of the biggest frustrations that I have every single year around this time, man, is people are always playing. And I play a lot. I get it, but there's certain things, certain topics that I'm not playing with. Black History Month comes around, bro. And you, between social media, between memes, it's, you know, the first black person to ever do this, and it's something that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? First person in history to ever have swag, first person to ever put hot sauce on a piece of chicken. You know what I'm saying? First person to ever be like, ooh, you know, like, it's just like, yo, like, while you're playing, there's a real life war going on outside, right?
Yeah.
There's a real life mindset that's happening. And because you aren't aware of the fight that you've been enrolled in, the war that you've been enlisted in that you never signed up for, I just find it real crazy that all of us can have some type of consistent agreement that there's the God in heaven. And usually most of a community will say the same name. But even though we can acknowledge and go to represent or say we represent the same God, none of us can get on the same page and acknowledge the same devil that is trying to destroy and keep us from a future, a force of evil and intent that's trying to keep us from our true self. And so that mindset that wants to keep somebody from evolving, oh, I'm not where you are, so I'm going to keep you down with me. How many cultures and communities think like that? I see cultures and communities come into a country, maybe 5 deep, get a 2-bedroom apartment, split that rent like a Dutch down the middle. Everybody's only paying, I don't know, max $200 a month, right? But every paycheck, they getting $1,800. They splitting all the bills, sending the money back home, bringing more family over, getting more education, getting more businesses, and growing and developing. Sounds a whole lot like Black Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Black Wall Street that was destroyed. And crazy enough, but by 5 years later, we have rebuilt it, and it was even better with more thriving. And that too was destroyed. And then the final nail in the coffin, bro, do you know that they actually, and I apologize if I'm incorrect, because y'all know I like to have a little drink too, little razzle dazzle for the show. Anyway, but I believe it was Interstate 254. And they actually built the highway, bro, interstate directly through that joint.
Sure did.
Finalize the fact that you're not going to continue to rebuild. But nobody wanted us around.
Yeah.
And so we have created a town and a community of our own to reside in. Why would anybody want to destroy that, bro? At the beginning of the show, I talked about how the money will continuously drive certain things. And indeed, money will be represented by certain cultures and communities that would be a wolf in the sheep's clothing. And so the real reason why places like that was destroyed is the very same reason why Edgar J. Hoover said that the Black Panther organization, in particular Fred, was the biggest threat to the internal security of this country, was because it was understood that if the mindset could ever truly be one, like what we seen when they were abducted and stolen from their land, when the concept was it truly takes a village, when you couldn't do wrong, your mama could have been at work from noon until 2 a.m. You knew somebody was next door. Miss Jackson was it for me.
Oh yeah.
I had people behind us. Saw everybody was looking because it took a community. But we don't have that now, bro, because the bait was dropped. The setup in the lie, the setup was, bro, I hate you, man. I know you look like me. We supposed to have the same struggle. We supposed to have the same mission. But I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I heard you got that nice little crab leg store. I do too. Never met you in my life, but you do what I do and I hate you.
Yeah.
Instead of the mindset that we should be linking up and me and you could literally corner the whole city and can't nobody pop no crab legs unless it's coming from me or you. So we have monopolized the whole industry in a legal manner, but we won't do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's that us versus us mindset, bro. Quick question for you though. So us versus us. A whole lot of people might look like you, bro. They don't have good intentions. Have you ever really tripped off of or even had a thought, why is it that so many of our infamous leaders, and even let's just say even the leaders that have been murdered, at one point in time was a part of the NAACP? And I ain't trying to step on no toes and I ain't trying to speak nothing ill. We not saying none of that. But if we go back to those days, there was an influence where again, FBI, CIA was also had some puppets controlling. Right. But everybody that left, for example, W.E.B. Du Bois, right? Again, one of the founding members of the Black Panther organization, who also started off as one of the chapter leading creators of the NAACP. Not only did this man quit the NAACP, he did it twice. And every time that the split happened, bro, it was due to conflicts with the leadership over the views and how political things and social injustice should be handled. Ironically, it's the same, very, very, very same reason that Fred Hampton, who was murdered by Chicago police officers with over 90 shots in the middle of the night because he allegedly opened fired on somebody, but never had an MO that spoke to this, and was also a part of the NAACP and left because of conflict with the leadership, which was, we know, also FBI initiative. Everybody that looks like you, bro, again, isn't going to be for you, and vice versa. Everybody that doesn't isn't going to be against you.
Yeah.
How do you eliminate that? That me versus me.
So the thing is that unfortunately, it just feels like that there's a disconnect. All right. Mm-hmm. And how we know that there's a disconnect because we see it. And let's keep it a buck. Because we feel like that we have, a house, car, family, you know what I'm saying? Decent pair of shoes, decent clothes, things like that. We focused on trying to maintain what we have. Mm-hmm. There's a group that's maintaining, trying to even take that little bit that we have. We know the YNs out there, the people that, looks to prey upon other people's hard work. Then there's another group above you that if you go to a certain part of the city, even though you don't have no record, you ain't riding out there with beats and sagging, but as soon as you step foot in that particular territory, it's almost like you don't belong.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's example. People will tell you.
Perfect example. I'm watching the OJ little series on Netflix, the brand new one.
Yeah.
And when they finally locked OJ up, leading him to the car, leading him away, people was on both sides. OJ is on record saying why is all these N-words in this neighborhood? I thought that was deep. I thought that was deep. But it kind of mirrors, you know what I'm saying? Kind of how people feel. We see too many that, because we consider ourselves poised and, you know, so backing up to what you were talking about when everybody, said it left the NAACP. Here's one thing that we will never acknowledge. If you put too many black folks in the room and there's a head, somebody's always going to not like what the head is saying, and always someone is plotting to become the next head.
Why?
So unfortunately,
Jim Crow.
As black men, as black people, we are afraid to talk to one another, even to just get a little bit of, your struggle may not be your struggle, but you have a struggle, so you can relate. Can we talk for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
But we're so apprehensive because we feel like that if I tell you what I got going on in my life and I'm vulnerable, now you know how to get me.
Exactly.
It's very hard for us to let our guards down around each other. I just really hate, man, that we're in a place and time to where enough of us cannot get together. You look at the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis City and how it crumbled. And it was a predominantly black board.
Yeah.
They crumbled. People started embezzling. People started taking money under the table. People started accepting gifts, except for being for the people. Now, our people are in such a disarray right now. Even, people who felt like you had a good job with the benefits and the insurance feels like the working poor. And we're still trying to go out, whether it's at the grocery store, speaking, trying to make a difference because you don't know what that person is going through. Bro, we've been in the banking industry. We've seen it firsthand on just how a simple smile, how can I help you, can change somebody's day around.
Yeah. Deeper than that, man. On some real rap. You know what I'm saying? A cat that got a phone call, reached out to him, and they told me years later, like, yo, I was actively looking to take my own life, and you picked up that phone and called.
Yeah.
So that act of kindness, you never know what it's gonna do. To your point, yeah, true story.
So, but the thing is that as one black person steps into a professional establishment, and we did a show on this a while back. One black person steps into an establishment trying to get something done, but they don't have the proper tools to get whatever covered. Now you part of the system because you won't let me do what I want to do.
Right.
Understanding like I ain't got rules to follow.
Right.
Modern day slavery, y'all. We still playing that house N word and that feel N word because apparently if I got on a shirt and tie, I'm a house N word.
Like OJ, the song say. And that's a song really that everything you just said, bro, it took that and forced it into 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Because that's the concept.
So I just feel like that we all need to take a step back because things are changing.
Yeah.
See, because we have started to now be recognized that if there's been wrongdoing by police officers, there's been wrongdoings in the judicial system, there's been wrongdoing in the laws. Watch this, y'all. Now all of a sudden, the world is trying to go from race to a class.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody go catch that in a minute.
Yeah. And it's the same thing.
Because now we're starting to be recognized as equal, but we started so far behind that we're just now breaking even. But now, instead of being a race issue, it's a class issue because guess what? The vast majority of us are going to be in that class.
Absolutely.
And when I say class, I'm talking about a class of people in society.
Mm-hmm. a certain level of class when it pertains to articulation.
Yeah.
A class as it pertains to your financial category, your industry type, your job title, the location of where you reside. The very, you know, how many times somebody, man. So go back to your point. You know what I'm saying? Where most people surprised where you're at somewhere. Man, I lived in a predominantly, let's just say, truly, I was the minority in this area of Missouri. You know, whether it was Lake St. Louis, but this particular time it was St. Peter's. And I'm literally less than 1,000 yards from my crib. Ran into somebody that I worked with of a different, you know, ethnic group and was shocked. Hey, what you doing out here? Real, what you doing out here?
Yep.
You know me, I was just like, who me? I live here. I was gonna ask you the same thing. What you doing here? Put it back. Why is it a surprise that I'm here? But it's the norm for you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, bro, what we have to do is it's regardless of where somebody is in life, we have to get back to that mindset to where we're uplifting each other and finding a way. And yeah, it has to start in the house first, but we need to get it to the point to where it extends outside of our four walls, outside of our neighborhoods, and into other communities that start to cross racial lines. Because we're entering a time on the Earth's timeline that if we don't figure out how to work together as a world, it ain't gonna be one left. And it's real disheartening, bro, that we had a time to where we once would defend women and children with every drop of existence we had. And now, now we won't even get up out of our seats.
Yeah.
We won't even say, hey, if we see them getting snatched up by somebody, we won't intervene. You know, we won't do anything. Hey, we'll spin the block for our ops.
Yep.
We'll die for a street that we don't own a brick on. You know what I'm saying? We'll rap
real talk.
songs that is promoting everything that goes against what it's going to take for us to be successful. We'll rap. We don't own planes, bro. Who you know growing up had a plane that could be international?
Right.
So how did the dope get in the hood? How in the world did you get ARs and military style weapons in the hood? And again, I mentioned that dog food earlier and cornstarch out the box and water because this is all people could afford. People couldn't even afford to eat, bro. So how could you afford military grade weapons?
Yeah.
The bait and the setup and the switch, and now it's a me versus me, and the enemy never should have looked like me. We were set up.
Yeah.
You'll act if I accidentally bump into you. I stepped on your days. You willing to lay my life down. They gonna do a remix about the classic songs. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna spin on them. This is for my enemies. They gonna remix the songs. You feel me? They'll do something like that to show the aggression, the rage, and the hatred of a reflection that you should embrace because it looks just like you. Everybody should be able to look to somebody else and see a version of themselves, either that they used to be, got away from, aspire to be, or
to be.
Got to be. Yeah. But you should see that, and we should be able to come together and say, "Hey, my dude, man, like I understand you out here bad. Holla at me. I got like we have to get to the point where putting people in a position to succeed. This is facts, bro. Put people in the position to succeed. I started traveling into other countries back in like 2010. One thing that I noticed, man, and on everything, I said to myself, if I could pick my family up in unison and bring them out of the country, I would never go back. I didn't see the same measure of homelessness. Yes, violence is everywhere. I get it.
Yeah.
But the structure, that internal security of the country that Edgar Hoover was so worried about, it stems from a culture of hook and crook, bloodshed, and by any means necessary. And so now we have to decide, will we, and when I say as a people, I'm not just talking about the brown community. I'm talking about as a people that's just tired. Hey, I tell you what, for everybody to keep saying is good people all over the world, tell them to tap in tonight. Let's all link up. All the good cops, all the good lawyers, all the good black people, all the good white people, all the good brown, we can go, all the good people link, because we're going to have to figure this thing out and come together, because we're going to have to do what historically has never really happened. The basis of Pharaoh. If they ever realize that they outnumber us the way they do, they will enslave us. Fast forward, because you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So a lot of times on this podcast, when we dropping bars and we talking, we're going to crack a whole lot of jokes. Again, some stuff we're going to deliver in a very simplistic way with humor, because we're realizing, just like old boy Charleston White, that sometimes when you try to give people the right dosage, the right way, they don't want it. So you got to put the pill inside, you know what I'm saying, of some applesauce. You like me? You got to put it inside of something that tastes good. That's appealing to the eye, appealing to the nose, to the palate, so that they can receive it. Because when I tried to give it to you by going to town hall, you wouldn't feel me. When I tried to get it by coming down to your schools and talking in front of the crowd, you wouldn't feel me. When I was in the Peabodys doing gospel rap and ministering to the crowd, they was looking out their windows at 12 and 1. They was coming down. They seen cops getting praying for it, but they wasn't feeling me. And now here we are in 2025, and we putting faces on t-shirts, bro. And it's crazy. And it's me versus me mindset, and I'm gonna step off and let you do your thing. But it just really, really blows my top how if my little cousin gets spent, we gotta go see who did it ASAP. We got RIP t-shirts. Little buddy got to fly high, and I'm about to ride, right? Gotta get that payback. But if my same cousin is the one who did the killing, then I'm on some free tay-tay. Let a real one out. Why did the narrative change based on your relationship? Because your mindset
Thanks.
You fell for the bait, my boy. The old bait and switch. You fell for it.
Yeah.
But nobody is riding for them very people that's out here kidnapping these kids. Remember that $236 billion industry I told you from? It's a bait and switch, bro. Yeah. Puffy got Netflix specials right now, right? We've been making, everybody and their mama making mad jokes about Puffy, right? How much attention do you think should be given to anybody that's making $40 million? Their net worth is $40 million. That's a lot of cake, ain't it? $40 million. What if that same person that net worth was over $40 million has children currently that have not been long removed from a situation, that have made accusations from the beginning of time up until now? But there's no arrest records for Dan Snyder.
Right.
Yep. Bro, why aren't we talking about the billionaires? Mike Jeffries, you hear who that is? No. That is not, he's the former, and he's only former because he was arrested. But this is one of the CEOs for Abercrombie, who was arrested on child porn, drug trafficking. There was some big drug trafficking, huge. Yeah. Child porn, huge. That ties back, remember when I said that $236 billion a year industry from way, way back, which is still in modern slavery, and you can look and Google that up. Microsoft lost all these Remember how many months ago was that, bro? When everybody phones and everything was just going out, signals, all these signals. Nobody phones was working.
Yeah, that was Windows.
Yes,
Yeah,
what
that
it
was
was.
Windows phones. Yeah,
Windows. Everybody, Mike Tyson fight, try to hit that Netflix, and that thing was
yeah.
it was stalling like somebody not trying to go back on the first day of school, right? Why can't you shut this thing down?
Yeah.
Why can't you shut? Why you can't shut down this industry again? That's internet based, and everybody's saying how vulnerable to a cyber attack every country would be.
Yeah.
But it can be done because they just arrested a cat. Let me just say this: the reason why there's a whole lot of stuff that don't get talked about. There's a real big company right now, bro, that's going through some things. I'm gonna let you do this. My soapbox in a nutshell. I'm D to the J, bro. I'm gonna let you take us to the bridge, but I want everybody to understand that the dupe has been had, and this is what we are failing to understand. A lot of people are talking about the wrong people, and they're not telling you because it's a me versus me. South Korean national and hundreds of others charged were worldwide in the takedown of the largest darknet child pornography website. You know why you didn't hear about it, bro? Because that particular company, they're funded by Bitcoin. I'm D to the J, signing off.
Check it out, man. My soapbox is gonna be a 2-in-1. So first of all, as we wrap up this topic of modern day slavery, I said it earlier. I feel like that as a class of people, we're getting to that point. What was a good wage 5 years ago is not rising with the cost of things. And again, we're paying, you know what I'm saying, to keep the lights on, to keep the gas on, which keeps going up by various increments to where it's almost like you're never comfortable. I admonish us, man, to continue to help one another, continue to look out for one another. Um, we're getting to that point, man. You got to be your brother's keeper. Understand that people got families to feed, but make sure that you're trying to feed them the right way, because if you're trying to feed them off my loaf of bread, you know what I'm saying? Hey, somebody going to get turned to dough. So understand that. Lastly, Friday is Valentine's Day, man, and this is the show beforehand. And yeah. So I want to say this, man. March 5th, I'll be married to my wife 19 years, and she doesn't know, man, just like how much she completes me, like how happy I am with her. I'm glad, that we came together and understood, you know what I'm saying, life, and got on the boat, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
pedaled, on our way down life's river. There is nobody in this world that I would have chosen over you to take this journey with. I appreciate you in ways that you don't know how. I appreciate you for being, a mother to my 2 kids that are not yours, but yes, they're yours. I appreciate how you balance me out. I appreciate how, you kind of bring me down at times. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your love. And I appreciate everything that you do for me. I appreciate you accepting my friends as your friends. Baby, I can go on and on. But in a nutshell, I just want to say happy Valentine's Day to you, and I love you.
Yeah, that's bars. I like that. And you know what? I like that for y'all. I'm thankful Valentine's this year did not fall on the Wednesday, because y'all know how I wouldn't be here. Y'all know I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
And wouldn't,
I,
and wouldn't.
I can say
I'll
all
be
the
sitting here,
man.
holy soldier.
Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. If you ain't never seen Shaq dunk on a third grader, you probably ain't understanding what I'm talking about.
Hey, man, let's go. Let's
Man,
go.
hey, I'm waiting for you
Let's
to
get out of
kick.
here.
Listen, man,
Get out of here.
started You know the motto,
All right.
man. The people is waiting. It's 9:04.
Y'all waiting on it? All
They
right.
waiting on it.
Hey, because life gonna keep on lifing, and we gonna be here to talk about it. I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J, still in the building like I ain't never left. Tap in every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know how to find us, the best duo since Wings and Ranch. Bro, if they don't know the theme song, if they don't know the music, somebody got to tell them.
Let's get it. Go Birds!
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tap in with your boys. Your host, Tony D to the J. Every Wednesday, Life Be Life and Podcast. And you know they talk about it.